How's it going, YouTube? Coming to you today with another video, and today, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to Handtrap Part 4 and Q&A. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video, because today we're going to be talking about a lot of very specific interactions that I feel like a lot of people don't really know yet, because the format's ever changing, and there's still a lot of very specific interactions that are coming up every single day that we may not be aware of. So I want to give a quick shout out to Rubicon. Thank you so much for sponsoring my last tournament. If you use code GGYGO mats for 5% off mats and for the month of November in their store, thank you so much for the sponsor. I really appreciate you guys. Another thing that I want to bring up too is that we're already at 6,500 subscribers. Thank you all so much. We just hit 6,000, and in a day's time we hit 6,500. That is so amazing, and I wouldn't have a community without you guys. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really do love what I do here. Being able to teach and be able to help people improve is the number one thing that I want from this experience. I really do love it every single time I receive a PM that's like, hey, I won this tournament because I used your tips, or I'm improving at the game and I feel a lot more comfortable with my cards, my interactions. It really does go a long way. I'll take that with me forever. So thank you so very much. Without further ado, let's hop right into the video today, though. And the first interaction that we have is Ghost Ogre versus DPE. Now, this one's really important, especially if you're playing against Striker, because a lot of times they'll go like DPE, set Tikaboo. And if you actually watch them activate DPE effect to try to pop something on your board and you chain Ogre, they have to pop something else on their board. So they'll have to pop like the DPE or like a set Widow Anchor or something really important, which is actually really kind of nuts because they have to pop something that they control. So if you chain Ogre to their DPE, they have to pop something else on their board. This is a very crazy interaction, as I've seen it come up very insane, especially if you're playing Swordsoul. You can't really deal with Tikaboo. They blow up their own Tikaboo because it's the only other thing on their board. Now all of a sudden you can make full combo and kill them that turn. This is a very particularly nice interaction. If it does come up for you, definitely let me know, because this is actually really crazy. Moving forward, though, I really want to talk about Belle and Meister. These cards are still very good in the format right now. I know that a lot of people are phasing them out, but they're still very effective, especially these two against the DPE package and being able to stop the Celestial draw with the Meister, being able to drop the Belle or Meister on the DPE effect in the graveyard to bring itself back, which is still very important as well, because you want to stop this grind from DPE as much as possible, especially if you're playing a trap deck, because you literally have to double strike this card if you want to deal with it, which is equally very crazy. And I do like this interaction a lot, just because DP itself just seems so cracked this format, and it's just so good that we need cards like Belle and Meister to really humble the combo that is set up with that as well. The next thing too is that it has a really interaction with Crow, and that's if you Crow DP after they activated the effect of DP to summon it back the next standby phase, they have to summon mandatory one of the heroes out of their graveyard, so Dasher or Celestial. This is really important, especially against Striker when their main monster zone is very important to keep clear. So a lot of times you'll see them summon the Dasher, because if they summon the Celestial, then they're still a turn behind in the draw, because you have to wait a turn to draw off the Celestial. So being able to watch them summon Dasher and have to try to out it themselves is really awkward for them. But it's really just nice to know that if you do Crow the DP, they have to summon Dasher or Celestial in the standby phase. Makes things very awkward. So this is just something that you really have to be on top of. And the other thing is that really important moving forward, as Scythe becomes more popular, Crow's also just very good against Scythe. You can go ahead and Scythe the Crow the Scythe out of the graveyard, so you don't have to worry about getting extra deck locked. You always can like Chalice or Imperm the Scythe when it hits the board, but it's also very important just to know that you have the Crow option as well to just be able to clear it and not have to worry about it for the rest of the game, especially if they're playing like Baron's Fleur and they like bring it back on you. Just being with the Crow immediately is very nice. I feel like Crow is one of those forgotten about hand traps that just kind of comes up really clutch here and there. And I feel like coming forward right now, this card could actually be really bonkers again. So definitely try to pick up your set and at least test it out, because I feel like this format or like coming up in the next format is going to be very important to have Crow somewhere in your side deck at least. The next thing that I want to talk about is the fact that Eldlich is actually topping, especially just won a regional. A lot of lists, I know the one that just won had 3 of the Golden Lords, but a lot of lists you'll see them play 3 monsters. They'll have 2 Golden Lord and 1 Ecclesia. This is really important to know, though, because it makes it really hard for them to see a monster, especially if they only have like Sanguine that they're relying on to see their Golden Lord. So what's really cool about that is that if you have the Belle or the Meister, you can go ahead and like stop the Sanguine. But like when you are looking at their graveyard traps when they're banishing it to reset, you want to be able to Meister the Golden Lands, because it stops their engine from being able to set the spells that summons, being able to set Sanguine, and you basically control where their monsters are at in their deck, which is really nice because you just are playing against a line of back row versus any monsters at all, and it makes them top deck, which is always how it goes in a trap deck. They have to set everything, just hope that they live, right? So they're trying to draw into this Golden Lord. They can't activate their Sanguine. So if you're Meistering the Golden lands, then they have no access to their Sanguine or their summon cards, and they're basically relying off the top deck, which makes Meister honestly so crazy in this matchup because they can't really do a whole lot about it, which makes the matchup pretty free. So I really do enjoy this interaction at the end of the day as well. The next one I want to talk about is Despia. This deck's been coming up here and there, and I feel like it's really hard to beat through double Masquerade Winda because that burn effect is too real. So we have cards like Dramaturge that you really want to stop with Belle and Meister from their graveyard because this is their effect negation for monsters especially. That is really annoying when you're trying to out things like the Masquerade. So you want to make sure that you were able to Belle or Meister this thing so it doesn't keep coming back on you, and you're not able to like make your play. Let's say you only have like one summon in your hand that would be like, this has to go through or I lose. Make sure that you are belling or meistering the Dramaturge so you can get around that effect negation. The next thing with the Masquerade is you just want to impermanent, honestly, or chalice it, whatever you have, because you don't want to keep burning. Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon is one of the best exceeds that we've seen in a very long time. It's just a lot of commitment to summon that one because it's 2 level 7s, which we don't always have in this game in most decks to just summon. But that burn effect is so crazy, especially being in a fusion now that's very accessible, especially when they can drop 2 in every card interaction you burn for 12. It becomes very hard to out this, especially when there's a window on the board. So definitely go ahead and start thinking about how you can start outing this type of board, because when it comes to imperm, you can always imperm it, but then you have to worry about it in the follow-up, especially because this card alone can just be a free summon. Although it won't burn anymore, they'll have a lot more gas on the follow-up turn, because a lot of their cards are just free summons. Then if you like kill the Masquerade, they can summon back like the Eluber. So it can really float really well. But that's just something they have to be aware of, that if you're burning for so much, how do you break their board and set up your own without them being able to O2K you the next turn, because you're already low in life due to the Masquerade. So you always want to imperm this ASAP, because this is going to be the biggest problem in that matchup for you. And the next one I want to talk about is the 10U Swordsoul deck, and that's because there's 2 different routes that I want to talk about that are very, very important. The first one is that if you have a problem with Protoss, I'm looking at you, Drydron, it's definitely a very big important thing for you right now to go ahead and Ash the Emergence. You need to be able to stop the cutoff for this thing coming out. You cannot let this thing resolve on you, or else it's going to be a really rough time, especially if your deck that auto loses to Protoss. So that's why Ashing Emergence is always very good. If you don't care about Protoss, the number one thing that you have to stop is Ashuna. The reason being is because, so Boxia does target, okay, sorry, on the last video I just like misspoke, my bad. But so you can go Ashuna, summon Vashuda, and then normal Adhara, and then go into Boxia. So you can spin 2 with the Boxia, right? And then you can also banish Vashuda and spin a 3rd, which is so crazy because you already get 3 spins, and then you also have the Adhara to banish and add back a Swordsoul from your banish pile for your grind game. So not only do you just get a board break, you also get your grind game back, which is really insane, because then you can pop your own Boxia and then summon out like your Moe from your graveyard, and then reveal whatever you just added back off of the Adhara, and then go full combo. So there's a lot of very important interactions with this side of the combo versus this. A lot of people are ashing the Emergence, but if you're not really worried about Protoss, and also if it's just game 1, there's very, very few people who actually main deck Protoss, so this is just a very low impact hit, whereas nailing this is crazy, because like the amount of value that they get from this combo is nuts. Again, they get a spin 3, they can add 1 back, use Boxia, some back Moe, reveal 1 in hand, go full combo. Like, it's so good. So you want to make sure that you are getting rid of the Ashuna effect, because this does come in a huge amount of clutch. You can get the double spin off the Taie because they're different attributes as well, but doing it this way is just so much better. So definitely make sure that you're on top of that. This is a very, very important interaction here. The next one is that if you are having a hard time getting over the towers in Cyberdark, know that they need the Cyber End Dragon in their graveyard to equip to their monster before they can summon this. So if you go ahead and crow the Cyber End Dragon in their graveyard, they really can't play the game. They can't summon out their Cyber End. And another thing too is they put so many resources into trying to summon this thing that if you do go ahead and like crow this, or if you're playing like Shark Cannon and Striker, you can just cannon this thing. And then it makes it really, really hard for them to play because they already committed so much. And the ability to not be able to summon out this thing is huge. I was playing against someone the other day too, and then they summoned like Cyber Eternity Dragon and then realized that they had no fusion in their graveyard to make it live. So it's just another one of those things that like it makes this matchup very, very free if you go ahead and crow the End Dragon out of the graveyard so they can't summon the 5k towers. This is another thing just to be on top of. And so the next thing here is the Brave engine with Journey of Destiny. You want to go ahead and ash this thing because you don't want them to get through the Omni Negate through Griffin. Another thing is that if you're playing against the PK variant of Brave, it's really important to stop this because they get Aquamancer, which can just be a free extender if they don't really need the Omni Negate, which is huge because this is just another card that just allows them to do way too much. And then you can also banish it from your graveyard and then add another Rites of Armisia for another token. So I think that that's just a lot of value that you just need to stop. So hitting the Journey of Destiny here is just really, really important. Not much more to say about that, but the Brave engine will be coming out soon. This is just the proper ash target. Next up here is that something that's important to know. So this actually came up in a coaching session that I want to make sure that everyone's aware of. So like you can activate Schism, okay, on your board and not activate the effect. And you cannot Belle that. Like if they just activate it on their board, there's nothing that you can Belle there. You're just activating a continuous trap. You're not activating the effect yet. If you already have Schism activated and then you activate the effect while it's already face up on the board, you can Belle it, but nothing else will happen. If they flip Schism and activate the effect at the same time Diffusion Summon when it's flipped and you Belle it, the Schism will go to the graveyard. That's because the card didn't get enough time to fully activate on the board, so it will just go to the grave since the activation wasn't negated. This is something that is very important to bring up because I feel like a lot of people don't know this right now, but it will just go ahead and send that card to the graveyard since it never got to activate fully on the board since it is a continuous trap. So just keep that in the back of your mind that if it flips up and activates at the same time and you Belle it, it will go to the graveyard. That's why it's really important sometimes to just flip it up, but it also makes it really clear as to where it's at for like Twins and Cosmics. So just make sure that you are aware of that. But at the same time, it's just fine just to activate it when you are needing it. You just make it a lot more easy to Belle it. So just, again, keep that in the back of your mind. Next one up here is that the Lyrilisk Tri-Brigade deck, better known as Bird Up deck, is very, very hard to stop right now. So when we talk about a lot of very specific interactions here that you could be using to really make this matchup a lot better for you. One being Ghost Reaper on the Recital Starling, which makes things a lot better for you as well, because this cuts off a couple different things. It cuts off 2 searches for their Swallow and their Nerval. This cuts off the UFD package. It essentially just turns the deck into pure Tribe, which is very nice as well. They can still do a couple things which are pretty nice, but at the end of the day, it just makes it very, very hard for them to play the game if you go ahead and nail their Recital, because this is such a key card in their combo. So that's where Ghost Reaper is still very good. You can still Ghost Reaper in other matchups too, like Chi Zhao, which would just be insane. And even against Dragon, hitting like Heretic Seal, I feel like that makes that matchup a lot better too. So there's a lot of different options, especially if you're playing a DP already. You can go ahead and like hit other people's DPs too. So Ghost Reaper does have a nice spot in this format, and I feel like this is another card that we could see going up in price because it has very niche interactions and formats that we've seen like 1 or 2 decks. But right now I feel like it pretty genuinely it could hit quite a bit. So I would definitely recommend looking into at least trying this out, especially when we see like the Brave Prank deck, which we are all anticipating being one of the best decks. It's still really important to know that like they have 1 Meow Mew, right? So like if you have Reaper and you're worried about like the Omni that gets up and you're like, man, I can't really hand trap them. Imagine using Ghost Reaper on Doodle Doo and they only have 1 Meow Mew anyway. Like that matchup just becomes over. So I think this is really important to really start considering Cherries as an option because this is going to be an actually real card coming up very soon, especially right now against Bird Up. Since the deck is already kind of hard to beat, hitting the Recital Starling is just so important right now. The next one up is Crowing the Sparrow. So what I've seen a lot is that people go like Fractal Send Sparrow, reveal Warblurg, and then like not reveal, they'll just summon it, and then they'll bring back the Sparrow in full combo. If you can Crow the Sparrow, this is where you have to think about like how the person plays, because sometimes they'll just keep the Sparrow in hand and they'll have like other things to summon it that way. But a lot of times they'll dump this to the graveyard and then you can Crow it, and then it just is putting them on like, man, you better have another bird in hand, especially if they have like Bird Call. If they can't already just summon one from the hand, they have to like add one and like, or add their Warblurg to start their combo, and they need the summon back of the Sparrow. This is another way to really make it like extremely hard on them. Mika with a Crow, the Cobalt Sparrow. That's why I think that Crow is another hand trap like Cherries that is really going to start coming relevant here in this format, that a lot of people just kind of put in the back burner, but it's still really, really relevant right now. Again, just hitting that Cobalt Sparrow, because the Recital that they summon off of this can't be targeted with card effects, and then also being able to add I think it's level 1 wing beast monster off the Sparrow is also just super huge. It's way too many searches for them, so that's another thing that like hitting this card is so important as well. All right, so agitating bird call is, I feel like this one's kind of obvious, but like it's still one of those things where it's like a free extender, and they also get the ability to either add or foolish, which is really crazy because again, this just makes their Warbler live, which allows them to be able to send that Sparrow, so you can go ahead and bring it back off the Warbler, which is equally insane. So that's why this card just needs to get dealt with here, and we need to be able to ash this right away, because I feel like this is still like the most relevant, since if you don't ash right away and you wait for like the recital, it's still kind of the same thing, and then like they're just going to go in UFD, so your ash is turned off anyway. So if you do have ash, just hit the bird call. I feel like this is probably the best one to hit there. Also, Droll is really good against this deck. Honestly, just the blanket effect of Droll is crazy, because if you look at like the Sparrow effects to search, the double recital to search, like they search so much. Like bird call, just being able to hit them with Droll and lock is so important. If you are siding like shared riding a bird up player is nuts. They just can't keep searching unless they want to give you a million cards. But definitely Droll is really important here, and then the Rock. The Rock is like less important. I feel like it's really mediocre. Like it's fine when they have the double Exceed on their board and you like stop them from making the UFD and you get rid of a lot of their advantage. But then they can just like go normal summon, kit effect, you know. So you have to have like, if you're going to be able to like rock them, you also have to have like Imperm or Valor in the follow up, because like other than that they can just go full tribe combo. But if you don't care about tribe combo, like the standard one, then that's fine. But just be aware that this is definitely going to be a bit mediocre, but still pretty worth it, because you need to be able to stop them at some point so they don't go like crazy full combo on you, right? So that's where Nibiru and Droll still come in handy here. The other thing I want to bring up is that this isn't particularly a hand trap, but I think that the best way to stop bird up is literally just evenly match. Their end board right now is Ensembled Robin, it's Apex Avian, some Morglink, and then UFD. For those of you who don't know, Utopic Future Dragon. And then sometimes we'll have like the Harpy's Feather Storm, which is even crazier. But this is where evenly match comes into play, because as long as you can like bait the Avian, the evenly match just comes in so insane, because they get rid of a ton of resources, and even if they do storm you, like you're getting rid of everything, right? So at that point, it doesn't really matter, as long as you have like some kind of hand trap or interaction or like a chalice for like their next turn. A lot of times you're looking pretty good, because you get rid of so much stuff off their board that it's actually just so nice to have the evenly there. They probably will just keep like the UFD, I would imagine, but it's still better than just not having this, right? I think that this is the best board break against them, because I was even talking about like Dark Ruler the other day, but like if you have Dark Ruler and then you get stormed, like you better have like a dark hole to clear that board off, because you're gonna die the next turn, you know. That's why I really enjoy evenly, because at least you can clear off most of the board and you don't even need to battle or do anything crazy, just to be able to clear off their entire board. So the next one I want to get into is actually our Q&A. I want to start off with this one from Brandon. What got you into Yu-Gi-Oh! And how long have you been playing? So I've been playing for 12 years now. What got me into Yu-Gi-Oh! Was actually really cool. I went to a card shop one day in my hometown, and the card shop owner was just kind of explaining the game to me, because it's been a while since I played. And I was like, oh, you know, that sounds really cool. I'll come back when I have some cards and I can actually like play the game, because I was still like new and I didn't really know it was good, nor did I know like how to build a deck. And that was quite a long time ago. And so he actually like got this deck of cards out from this drawer, and he goes, here you go. And I was like, huh? And you're like, what? And he goes, play the game, enjoy the game. And I was like, I can't take these from you, you know. Like it was a whole deck of cards, like, and it wasn't even like that good, obviously, because, you know, it was just like free, but like it was still something that I used, and I was like, man, you know, like I can't believe that just happened. So he like gives me this deck of cards, and I just remember it was like just a hodgepodge of like random stuff, but that's how I learned the game. It was honestly so amazing, and I just remember like I was losing, but I was still like enjoying myself, because I was like learning the game. I had a really wholesome card shop, and like the owner of the card shop literally gave me a deck of cards, and he's like, learn the game, dude, enjoy it, like have fun. And I think that's where another big drive of like my teaching came into play, and like really wanted to like help other people learn the game. Sometimes when I'm at locals and we have like a really new person, I return the favor that I was given so long ago. And like if I have an extra set of like Veilers or like a specific trap card, like I'll end up passing off to like the new person. I'm like, learn the game, enjoy, like be part of the community that everyone wants you to be a part of, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, at the end of the day, it's like a really fun time, and there's a lot of really cool people that you can meet. So that's a bit of wholesomeness for your day. I was given a deck, and then now I kind of return the favor here and there where I can. The next one, what keeps the game fun and interesting for you? So I really feel like the thing that really keeps the game fun for me is just testing out other decks and then seeing all the new cards that come out, being excited for the ban list, and really trying to put my theory to the test when it comes to like the bad decks and trying to figure out how I can make them better. So for me, I really just like experimenting in the game and trying out decks that no one's really looked at and just seeing what I can do with them, and also just like trying to buy those decks and bring them to locals and at least do well with them, just to see, because I think that that's really rewarding too, because I think it's a lot of fun. That's really what keeps the game fun and interesting for me, honestly. What is your all-time favorite deck aside from Striker? Besides Striker, it's probably ironic, but I would probably say Plunder Patrol. I really hated the deck, and I never thought that the deck could actually be something until I saw the Raven, and I was like, whoa. This deck's pretty nice, because it's honestly my favorite rogue deck of all time, Plunder, and I think that it has a lot of potential. So I'd probably say that Plunder is my favorite deck of all time besides Striker. I really do like that deck a lot. It's a lot of fun. We just skipped one here. 2 questions on the topic of trading. Do you enjoy card-for-card trading, or do you prefer to buy the cards you want when possible? And do you think trading and seeing other collections is a good way for new players to gradually learn the game's card pool? The second part, I don't think so, because like even seeing new cards, I don't really feel like people understand the uses or the interactions of them just by seeing them in a binder. I do think that it's nice that if you are like looking for cards, you can see other ones, and like even if I see a card I don't know, and I see like the name of it and it's like similar to an archetype that I'm like familiar with, I will read it. So like there is value to that, but I don't really feel like just from seeing like a binder that it makes you like learn anything, because I feel like you really have to like go out and want to learn those cards on your own at the end of the day. But as far as do I enjoy card for card trading or prefer to always buy the cards, I don't really enjoy trading as much as I used to, nor do I feel like that's a big trend in the Yu-Gi-Oh community anymore. Is that a lot of people like they don't trade anymore like they used to, right? I feel like it's more so like buy the cards when you need them. Like I don't even keep extra cards in me. Like my binder is literally like all my staples that I swap in and out of my deck when I need it, which is honestly something I recommend to everyone. If you have an extra binder, just keep your staples on every page like as a 3 of in there, so you can quickly swap in and out if you need to, like before a tournament or after a tournament if your deck isn't working out the best. You can kind of put all your staples, look at all of them, and basically decide which ones you want to use for the day, which is really nice. Honestly, I really enjoy doing that. But I don't really enjoy trading anymore, just because like I feel that you kind of run into a lot of people that are just like trying to vend rather than like trade, and it's just not the same feel that it used to be anymore. So I'd rather just buy my cards when I need them, honestly. The next one here is best tips on learning the game from scratch. The game looks a lot different now than it did back in the day. So I feel like the best ways to learn is honestly just like get a solid friend group or like a solid community. Shout outs to the Discord server. But if you guys need a nice testing circle, definitely go down the description below, join the Discord. Plenty of people are there to really be able to help you and improve at the game. As far as learning from scratch, I feel like what's really important about that is that you have to start learning that there is one deck for you at the time that you need to be focusing on. If you're just getting back into the game especially, you need to pick one thing and really get good at that one thing, because the rest of the information will come. But if you can learn one deck and play with that as much as possible, you can stop thinking super hard about your own deck and start learning more about your opponent's interactions more than trying to break down your own deck. That's why I really enjoy Striker right now, is because I understand it to a T. And so when I play against new decks, I have full focus on like what their cards do, because I already know what all my cards do. So I can kind of make up a game plan on the fly as to how I'm going to counter their deck and what they're doing. This is really important when it comes to learning, because I feel like a lot of people, they just kind of throw something together and like mid-match, they're already trying to learn their own interactions, let alone what their opponent's doing, and then they lose because they start thinking about too much. So definitely like wait before you go to a tournament, play your deck online, make sure you understand what it does, and then you'll be able to focus a lot more on what other people are doing and what their decks are doing, which is really important, honestly, when it comes to learning the game. How do you prepare for events? You talked about deck building and being a better player already, but what do you do leading up to an event to put yourself in the best position possible? When it comes to preparing for events, especially the fact that now, guys, I actually was going to say this too, I forgot. I am registered for YCS Vegas. So I do hope to see as many of you as possible there. If you are going to Vegas, definitely comment down below. Let me know because I would love to meet as many of you as possible. And from what I've seen, I do have a lot of interest right now as to making a YCS prep video. So I definitely feel like that's something that will be coming down the line as well. But as far as preparing for an event, I literally will take like 3 different decks that are a possibility because Vegas, we don't even have a ban list for yet, right? Like that's really scary. But we don't have a ban list for it, which is just insanity. But I prepare for a deck for a tournament like that by picking 3 different decks. And then I'll test like 4 different variants of them. And then I'll bring it down to 2 decks. And then I'm like, okay, these 2 I'm feeling better about than the third one. And then I'll just kind of keep testing those until like probably a couple weeks before. And then I'll pick one deck that I'm feeling the most for sure about. And then I'll just start focusing that deck completely. I'll start playing against every single meta deck. And I'll play against like one that I'm having the most trouble against the most. And then I rank each deck that I have a problem with from like 1 to 5. And then I'll just go ahead and start playing them down in order. So like I'll start with number 1. That is like the biggest problem. And then I'll just go down. And that really gives me a way to know like how my side deck should look because I like to keep it generic. But like if you have like an extremely hard time against one deck in particular, you have to side and be ready for that deck. Like that's when we were all siding Cycle Readers because we were all particularly afraid of Drytron, especially if you didn't open up like a Handtrap. And there's just decks like that that'll do that to your sideboard that you need to be prepared for. So once we know what the format's like, I'll be kind of breaking down 3 into 2 into 1 deck and then really just understanding what I need to do to be successful as far as my sideboard because I feel like that's really the make or break of the deck and then really the make or break of the tournament because you play more sided games than you do game ones. So I really feel like that's important at the end of the day to know what your side's going to be and then what decks you're going to be playing against the most and understanding that matchup. So that I would say would pretty much answer that. So guys, if you are not familiar, I am a coach at Metafy. If you do want to have a one-on-one session, definitely go to my Metafy, check it out. The link is in the description below. I'm always available for coaching, so definitely go ahead and reach out to me if you're having an issue. And another thing too, I really don't ever want to charge for coaching. I do like that Metafy is an option because it does give me a one-on-one slot with people and really helps me teach. But if money is ever an issue for you as well, definitely reach out to me personally and I can definitely work out something with you as far as just teaching you on the side, which I really don't mind doing because at the end of the day, I really just want to teach and I really want everyone to improve. So that's perfectly understandable and I will do my best to be able to teach you regardless because I just want to see people improve. The other thing is that my Discord server is in the description below. Definitely go ahead and join that. The community just keeps on growing, and I just love each and every one of you guys because it's just honestly so much fun to be able to pop in there, talk about theorying with my community because even I have questions, right, in like theory ratios because when it comes to deck building, it's not always the easiest thing to go about. So like I have my own theory and I always like hearing other people's theory because it even improves your own because you even hear things that you might not have thought about, right? So I do hope that today's video did help you guys because there's a lot of information about the format that still isn't really clear yet. So I do hope that that does help you throughout the next couple months as we start battling through to January to the next ban list, and then we get all these YCSs, which are going to be a lot of fun. Again, if you're going to be at YCS Vegas, definitely let me know down in the comments below. If you're new here, leave the sub. We are aiming for that 10K, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Thank you so much.